Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. So, today we are going to learn something new. But before that, I hope you all are fine and healthy and happy at your particular places. So, we'll be starting with something new today. You will be definitely finding it interesting to begin with. Yes. So, we are going to start. This is not an English class to start with. So, we'll be getting to know what we are talking about in a few seconds. So we'll be starting with the poem first. So on top of a mountain or under the sea, there are so many places where we creatures may be alone in a desert or ground on a farm or tucked in a tree trunk away from all harm. On ice in the Arctic, on hold underground, there are so many places where creatures are found. So on top of the mountain, on top of a mountain or under the sea, we are saying that creatures may be found on top of a mountain or under the sea. There are so many places where creatures may be. Yes, alone in a desert, they may be alone in a desert or ground on a farm. So they may be on a farm or they may be alone in a desert or tucked in a trunk away from all harm. So some creatures in nature are also tucked in the tree trunks also. They are away from all the harms of the nature. Yes, on ice in the Arctic or holed underground. Some creatures make holes for themselves, or we call those holes basically burrows for themselves, and they are living in those burrows. And on ice in the Arctic, they are present on the Arctic places, Arctic zone of the globe as well. Some creatures are found there as well. So there are so many places where creatures are found. So we from this poem we get to know that there are many type of creatures on earth, and they are found on different places in different habitats, basically in different places on the earth. So we'll be discussing more about it. So we'll look what we are going to discuss about today. So what is the difference in the living of both the animals? What helps them to survive there? Yes. So we but first the topic for today will be habitat, because a habitat is basically where a particular organism is surviving or living, and the food habits that the organism is basically adapting to in that particular environment. So that is what habitat is. So in the first picture we can see that there is a camel. Yes. And in the second there is a fish. Yes. Now you will be writing your answers in the comment section, that what is the difference in the living of both the animals, what helps them to survive there. Yes. So the difference will be that one lives in the desert, the camel lives in the desert, which is a dry place basically, and the other, that is the fish, it lives in the water, which is wet and moist place. Yes, water, it lives in the water. So what helps them to survive there? Yes, what helps the camel to survive in the desert? We know that camel can store water, can stay for longer without the food and water. Yes, the survivalship is hard on desert, so he has adapted to that. Yes, we can say that. His skin is also rough and dry according to the weather, according to the climate of the area that he is living in. And if you talk about the fish, the fish is having a streamlined body, because fish has to move, or we can say fish has to swim underwater. So for the fish to swim effectively or efficiently, the body is streamlined. So we'll be looking about more things. Yes. So this is what we are going to discuss about today. That is habitat and adaptation. So there are different habitats in on the earth, and the organisms that are present in those habitats, they are adapting to those habitat by creating certain adaptations to themselves basically. So we'll be moving forward with this. We'll be starting with this topic. Yes. So special features which helps them to survive. Yes, we are saying that store food in the form of fats in this hump that the camel is having. So when we say what type of adaptation this camel is having, the camel is having stored food in the form of fats in his hump, and thick fur. Just let me zoom it a bit so that it will be clear. So the thick fur protects the body during the night, yes, when it gets cold, while the long legs protects the body from the hot sand, basically keeping it away from the hot sand. Yes, so these are the adaptations which are made by the animals who are living in the desert, which is basically represented by the camel, who is the king, basically the king of the desert, basically we call it as. If you talk about fishes, they have streamlined body. Yes, they have streamlined body. Then there are fins present to swim, basically. Then gills, just like us humans, we have lungs to breathe. This job is done by gills in case of fishes. Yes. Then breathable body, sorry, to balance the body. The fin is there to balance the body, basically, and there is this tail which also helps in swimming. Then slippery scales to let the fish swim easily in the water, underwater. The slippery scales are there. Then fins, these both the fins are helping in the balance of the body, maintaining the balance of the body underwater. So these are the different adaptations which are made by the different organisms who are staying in different habitats, basically. I hope the concept of habitat and adaptation is clear to you now. So we'll be moving forward. So animals, plants, and other objects found in different surroundings. So forest, mountains, desert, and sea. Yes, you will be giving example to that. In the sea, if we talk about, so we have seaweed, we have, yes, planktons, we would say. The planktons are the plants that are found in the sea, top layer of the sea. And you can say shark is an organism which is found in the sea. Fishes, yes. In desert, if you say about, then cactus is a plant which is found in the desert. You can write it in your notebook as well. And cactus, then we have camel, as we have just discussed. Then snakes, viper snakes that are there in the desert. So these are the animals and plants which are present in the desert habitat. That is, the third is the mountains. So we can say monkeys, chimpanzee, they are found in the mountains, mountainous region. Yes, and different conifers, or we would say different conifers, basically the corn bearing plants that are there, and different herbs and shrubs that are present in mountains. Yes, different snakes are present in mountains as well. Different variety of snakes. They will be differing from the variety that is found in the desert and that is found in the mountains. So all these snakes, sea, desert, mountain, forest, they will be having different structures and different functions of the different structures on the basis of the desert, on the basis of the habitat they are living in. So if we talk about forest, then we can say elephants will be there in the forest. Yes, they will be there or not. But is it according to you? Yes, elephant will be there. Then snakes will be there. Yes, on mountains and forest, rabbits will also be found. Yes, so these are the different type of organisms which are found in different habitats, basically. So we'll be moving forward. You have done good. So the next question that you'll have to answer is, the place where organisms live is called as habitat, terrestrial habitat, aquatic habitat, or none of the above. Which should be the answer according to you? It should be A, B, C, or D. Yes. So I'll be giving you few more seconds to answer this question. So the answer to this question would be habitat, because we have just discussed the place where the particular organism is living will be called as habitat. So we'll be moving forward. Yes. Now what do you see? Yes. So we have these two pictures in front of us. That what do you think? How will you differentiate both of these pictures? Yes. Is there any difference between the two leaves that you can see? I'll give you 5 seconds to think upon it. Yes, so in the first picture, the leaf, or we can say the structure that we can see of the plant, that is full of thorns and spikes. Yes, and if we talk about the second leaf, that is quite plain and smooth in appearance. So basically, the rough and smooth appearance of these both two leaves basically depicts what type of habitat these plants are being found in. So the cactus, that is the first plant, it is being found in deserts and rough areas basically. So that is why to protect, to retain the water that is present in the water and that is present in the leaves of the cactus, it is having the rough leafy structure to reduce the amount of transpiration. Transpiration basically the loss of water that occurs in the presence of sunlight from the plant. Yes, and in the second plant there is the leaf. There is it is from the moderate temperate reasons. Yes, moderate temperature reasons, because it does not need to protect itself from the high temperature, so it will be adapting to the temperature that it will be residing in. So that is why we can see that different adaptations are made by different organisms or different plants or animals on the basis of the different habitat. So very good students, we'll be moving on from this now. Yes, now what do you see in these two pictures? How will you differentiate them? In one, we can see that there is this family. In second, family, and that tree is there, a rat is there, tree with fruits is there. And in the second, there is this umbrella, then there is this car, and a cap is there. So how will you differentiate both of these pictures? Yes, so basically, these two pictures are showing the, one side is showing the living organisms and the other side is showing the different things we use, different things that are being used by the humans, basically the living organisms. First, these all three things are being used by humans. Umbrella is there to protect from rain, and protect from the sunlight. We can say we have the cap, and we also sit in the car. But these all three things are non-living in nature. But if you talk about the left picture, then they are all living in nature. So they are living and non-living things. We'll be moving forward now. Yes. So you will be doing this habitat word scramble. You will be arranging these three habitats into the right combination of words. Yes. So we will be trying to rearrange these words, these habitats basically. Yes. So what do you think should be the first one? ERRES T T R I A L. Yes. TERRES. This this only T should be moving from here to the initial side, then rest of the word is correct, that is terrestrial ecosystem. Basically terrestrial ecosystem basically depicts the land ecosystem, the ecosystem, or we can say the habitats that are present on the land only, they are being kept under the terrestrial habitat. And if we talk about the second one, then what it should be? It should be biotic, biotic habitat. Biotic means where living organisms are residing, living things are considered in that habitat, that is biotic. And if we talk about the third one, that will be abiotic. Yes, abiotic habitat. Abiotic will be non-living things basically. Yes, so biotic and abiotic habitat and terrestrial habitat we have discussed about. So we will be moving forward from here. Just let me just shift to the next slide. Okay, so when you look at this picture, you'll think about it and share your observations in the comment section below. Yes, what do you have to say about it? Yes, it is an aquarium. Yes, so we can say that it is not the natural environment or natural habitat where a particular organisms lives in, right? It is not a natural habitat, right? Yes. So this is a artificial habitat basically, where we are keeping the organism, keeping the fishes basically in a aquarium, and that is which is a artificial habitat, because we can see there are not the things that are present in nature naturally in the aquarium. We are not able to find those things that are natural in nature. but we have created this whole environment of nature, which but exact in true words they are not natural. Yes, now on this slide you will be telling that all these animals belong to which type of habitat. Yes, if we talk about octopus, what type of habitat does the octopus belong to? It would be a terrestrial habitat or aquatic habitat. Yes, what should it be? So an octopus belongs to, yes, so an octopus belongs to the aquatic habitat basically. Yes, and if you talk about whale, then can you see a whale on land? No, right? So the whale will also be belonging to the aquatic habitat. And if you talk about horse, then where do you think horse belongs to? Aquatic habitat again? No? Then where should it belong to? Yes, so the horse belong to the land habitat, or we have another name for land habitat. You can remember that. I'll give you 5 seconds to do that. Yes, so if we talk about the horse, it will belong to the terrestrial habitat, because terrestrial habitat is the habitat which is considering all the land habitats in it. So you have done well, students. So we'll be moving forward from this slide now. Yes, so we'll be doing a quick recap of what we have discussed till now. I'll be zooming it a bit so you will be able to see it clearly. Yes, so you will make a habitat. Yes, students. So you will be making a habitat album and you will try to obtain pictures of animals and plants of different habitats. Okay, that is the part of the homework that I have misunderstood this as the recap. But for recap, what we have done in the class today, that is we have discussed about habitat and how different organisms that are living in different habitats, they are adapting themselves to a certain type of environment there, right? We have discussed about the camel. The camel was staying in the rough habitat, or we can say the dry habitat of a desert. So that is why he has his body has adapted himself in that way to sustain in that type of environment. He is having for energy, he's having fat stored in the form of bump. Thick coat is there to protect him from the cold breeze that is there on in the night, and long legs to avoid the hot sand basically. So these are the adaptations, certain adaptations which are made by the camel. And fishes are having streamlined body, to fins are there to balance, to maintain the balance inside the under the water. Then there are scaly scales that are slippery to move fluently in the underwater. And then yes, so then we also discussed about that in case of habitat there is a terrestrial habitat and there is this aquatic habitat. In aquatic habitat there is octopus. Then what other example you will be giving, that what other thing was there in terrestrial in aquatic habitat? First of all, tell me, it should be terrestrial habitat here or aquatic habitat here? Yes, what it should be here, it should be terrestrial habitat. It should not be, right? There it should be aquatic habitat, because in aquatic habitat only aquatic animals are found, because octopus is also an example of aquatic habitat organism, an organism which is living in aquatic habitat. So if we talk about this, what example can you give to place in this blank basically? Yes, yes, I want to see many examples coming my way. Yes, you must have understood the topic by now. Yes, so in this we can add shark, whale, fishes. Very good, students. So aquatic habitat is having octopus and many other aquatic organisms like shark, whale, starfish. Yes, very good. Yes, if we talk about here, then which type of habitat it should be, we have just told you. I've just told you it should be, yes, very good, students. So it should be terrestrial habitat. And yes, so the example of terrestrial habitat that is written here is camel. So if you talk about other than this, what other organisms are living on land? There are many, right? Yes, very good. Dog will be an example of terrestrial habitat. And what else? Horse also will be an example of terrestrial habitat. Yes, we have just discussed that also. Yes. So very good, students. You have done well. So I'll be moving forward to the homework now. So the one activity that you'll have to do is, yeah, you will be making a habit album basically. We'll try to obtain pictures of animals and plants of different habitat, and you will paste these under different habitat sections in the album. And questions you'll have to do is give an example of a non-living thing which shows any two characteristics of living things. Yes. And which of the non-following things listed below but once part of a living thing? Butter, leather, soil, wool, electric bulb, cooking oil, salt, apple, rubber. Yes, you'll be telling which of the non-living things that are listed here were once part of a living thing. So I hope the instructions are clear to you, and you must have learned everything that I tried to tell you here. Yes, so we will be meeting again with a more interesting topic again. And till then, if you have any kind of queries, you can write those queries in the comment section. I'll be discussing upon them with you. Yes. So we have discussed about adaptations and different habitats that are there in nature. Yes, and how different adaptations are made by different organisms to sustain in that environment. So we'll be moving forward from to the next topic in the next class. Till then, stay happy and healthy. We'll be meeting again in the next class. If there are queries, you will be mentioning those in the comment section. I'll be discussing upon them later on, and you can write the suggestion that you want to give to improve this lesson as well. Yes, so students, we'll be ending this session now. Thank you so much for being a good support.